Hello, welcome to my story. If you don't know who I am, then I'm Shan. I'm nearly 32 in a few weeks and I'm a business owner. I work in social media and I'm also a life coach. And you might be coming onto this video because you are interested in life coaching. And I know for me, when I first went with my coach, the thing that pushed me to really go with her was because I got to know her and I got to know her story and where she come from. And I remember after I met her, I thought she was a great woman and one day I will work with her. And I did. And I'm hoping that this video kind of gives you the same opportunity to think whether I would be a good fit for you, because not every coach is going to be a good fit for everyone, but you never know. I could be working with you in the future. Anyway, the point of this video is to tell you about the last 18 months of my life and what kind of brought me to life coaching and share my trauma. Share my trauma, because it is crazy the amount of things that have been thrown at me in 18 months. I'm going to say I'm proud of myself that I'm still smiling even sitting here. Grab a cup of tea, grab a drink. I'm doing the 75 heart challenge, so I've got a gallon of water to drink today. So if I take a sip of my Stanley, that is why. But yes, grab a drink and let's get straight into it. First off, I'm a business owner. I've owned a business for nearly 5 years. I worked in social media and I helped with social media management, content creation, videography, all that kind of stuff. And at this point in my life, I had lost 5 stone in weight. I was the fittest, healthiest version of me that I've ever been. I felt so confident in my body, confident in myself, confident in my business. I was in some big girl meetings. I was having so many opportunities. I just started a podcast with somebody that, although it was short-lived, was like such a fantastic opportunity. And then to top it all off, some of my clients invited me on a trip to Ibiza that they were paying for. And I was like, what the hell? I'm just a small girl from Birmingham and now I'm going on an all expensive paid trip to Ibiza with my clients for my own business. Like, what the hell? And the trip was incredible. I can't even go into the trip because it was the most incredible trip of my life. I remember on the last night we went to Leo's and I was standing there and I was watching these incredible performances, drinking the largest bottle of wine I've ever drank. Feeling myself, to be honest, like I had a red lip on, I was feeling just unreal. And I started crying because I just couldn't believe how great my life was. I couldn't believe how happy I was. I couldn't believe the opportunities. I just felt so grateful and I just was crying like, what even is my life? And I thought it can only get up from here. So shortly after I came back to England, I started noticing that my heart was palpitating and I'd never had it before. I know a lot of people now that have had this heart condition have said that sometimes they feel palpitations. I'd never felt them before. And it kind of felt like my heart was racing really fast. And the only thing I could put it down to was maybe I was having anxiety and I didn't feel anxious, but anxiety happens to a lot of people nowadays. And I was thinking maybe now I'm one of them. I let it lie for a couple of weeks. I probably let it lie for about 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks, I was thinking, it really doesn't feel right in my heart. So I'm going to call the doctors. I remember I was sitting in Starbucks working and I was using the app that you can like FaceTime a doctor with. And it was like, your appointment's been pushed back 15 minutes and then another 15 minutes. And then another 15 minutes, and then another 15 minutes, until it had been pushed back to like an hour because they couldn't find me a doctor to speak to. So I'm a take a sign from the universe, take a sign from God kind of girl. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm being a hypochondriac and maybe I need to not call the doctors about some heart flutters. I'm fine. Let's cancel the appointment. Don't be like me, by the way. If you feel your heart palpitating, make sure you get into the doctors or even go to A&E. Like I'm just saying, maybe go to A&E. Like it might be nothing, but you never know. You never know. So I went home. I was fine. I'd started telling people like loosely, like, oh, I'm having these palpitations. Oh, my heart's going a bit fast. But because I just assumed it was anxiety, I didn't make a big deal out of it. The girl that I was doing a podcast with actually started to become really intense and the relationship broke down very quickly. Don't work with a random girl that you've just met. It was actually very stressful towards the end. And I went on holiday again to go and visit my grandparents. And she it was like the breakdown of like us ending the podcast together, and she was bombarding with messages every day. And I remember like at one point I'd blocked her on all forms of social media. I'd blocked her on WhatsApp, and she was emailing me, and I was literally felt like I had a crazy ex-boyfriend stalker. Like, I can't even lie, sorry if you see this, but that's exactly how I felt. And I remember one of the nights when I was visiting my grandparents, I couldn't focus because my heart was going that fast, and it was the middle of the night, and I went to the bathroom because my friend had come to my grandparents with me, so I didn't want to wake her up. So I went to the bathroom and I put my legs in the air because I just thought that elevated your heart or something, don't even know. Put my legs up in the air, and I sat there for hours and hours, and I kept going to and from the bedroom to the bathroom, to and from all night, and obviously woke up my friend in the end, and she was like, are you okay? I was like, I haven't slept a wink. My heart is going so fast. And she was like, God, has the girl from the podcast stressed you out that much? And I was like, yes, she literally has. My heart is going so fast. She stressed me out so much. And again, if you're watching this, the girl that I did a podcast with, apologise. It definitely wasn't the stress, but I bet that didn't help, just saying. And that was that. And I went home, and then about a week later, so imagine this has been going on for quite a few weeks now. So a week later, my best friend had bought me tickets to see Hamilton in the West End for my birthday. So we were going, and I was very excited until I got into the theatre, and my heart started going really fast again. And it's still so sad. Like, I need to go back and see Hamilton again, because I never got to watch it, because all I was thinking was, oh, my heart is going so fast. And in the interval, I went to the toilet, and I thought, maybe my bra is too tight. Again, if your heart's going fast or you're having palpitations, probably go to the doctors and not think it's your freaking bra. So I was like, maybe my bra's too tight. So I took my bra off in the toilet, and I watched the rest of Hamilton without my bra on. Weirdly enough, that didn't work, and my heart was still going fast. Weirdly enough, when we find out the outcome of what was actually going on with my heart. So I think I remember telling my best friend that my heart was going fast. But again, like, you don't go to like the worst case scenario, do you? You obviously always think that, or you kind of want to think that it's obviously just something silly. So we went to work straight after Hamilton, went back to Birmingham. My heart had settled. I had drank that night, woke up, didn't feel that hungover, whatever, fine. Maybe a week later, I was going to Manchester to visit a friend. Bearing in mind, Manchester is about a 2.5 hour drive from me. And I was going to stay there for like a week. I had a massive bag packed. And I can't remember what we did for the first, 2 or 3 days maybe. But one night we had decided to do a Bob Ross tutorial sip and paint night. And we got canvases and paints and alcohol. Obviously, it's sip and paint. And throughout the night, I was drinking apple vodka and lemonade, and I had a big bottle, and I did go through the bottle, but it was such a fun night. But one thing that was different about this night was that I started badly getting emotional when I was drunk, and I'm not an emotional drunk, like, I'm a happy drunk, and I was emotional, and I was crying to my friend, being like, I'm so glad that we're friends, and like started talking about illnesses that I had when I was younger, and I was so glad that I was over that part of my life, and just really sobbing. Like, I can remember snippets and I was sobbing, which just isn't like me. And then my friend said that I was like on the floor, and I was like shaking, like my legs were like shaking. I was on the floor. I don't know what that was all about. But when I got up, like, I was fine. Like, I was trying to text every man in my phone. I was trying to late night call every man. I don't know what I thought I was doing, because I could barely walk, but she tried to take the phone off me, and I was like, no, I'm taking the phone. I can't actually remember what boy it was that I shouldn't have been texting, but there was definitely somebody. And I went up to bed. Now, when I woke up, I went to bed in this, like, I actually just had it on, but I went to bed in this like pyjama top. And when I woke up, the top was ripped up. Like, I should have bought it with me, but it's like now ripped like this, and it's got like a rip in the middle here. Like, it was ripped. I remember waking up thinking, what did I do to get back into this shirt last night? Like, I don't remember. And I also thought, why am I so hungover? I mean, I drank a bottle of wine, but I was so hungover. I cannot explain. Now, I have to do injections once a month for asthma. I'm asthmatic, and I have injections as part of my medication. And I was so hungover, I couldn't do it. My friend had to do it for me. I was so hungover, I couldn't eat. I was being sick every flipping 30 seconds, it felt like. I couldn't even pretend I wasn't hungover in front of her son. Like, I was just so hungover. I remember saying to her, this is the worst day of my life. But I remember what got me through was I thought at least tomorrow I won't be hungover. Like whenever I was hungover, because I've always suffered with bad hangovers, I've always thought at least tomorrow I won't be hungover at all and it's going to be great. Not this time. I woke up and I actually felt worse and I was like, a 2-day hangover? I must be getting really old. And I was still being sick. I don't think I'd slept all night. I think I was just being sick all night. And I remembered saying to God, like, if you're big and bad, make me feel better. Like, I was trying to freaking, I don't know, threaten God because I felt that ill that I just wanted to feel better. And I was naked because I was so hot. And I hadn't really gone to the toilet either. I was just really, really, really hungover. I was really poorly. And that went on again all day. I didn't eat. I didn't really drink. Like if I drank the tiniest bit of water, I would sick it up. So I just wasn't really even drinking. I was getting worse and not better. And I remember thinking, like, this is so strange. Like, I'm only hungover and I've had a lot of hangovers. Like I was 30 at this point. Like I've been hungover. I'd just come back from my beefer. I don't understand why this hangover is so bad. And then in the middle of the night, I hadn't been to sleep. I just couldn't sleep. The sickness was that bad. But in the middle of my chest started hurting. The centre of my chest was so painful. I could barely breathe. It was that painful. And I thought, again, maybe I should call somebody and just check that this is okay. So I phoned 111, which is like a non-emergency line. Explain my symptoms. I'm one of those and I was like, listen, I am hungover, I have been drinking, I think I've been suffering with anxiety, so it might be that, but it is coming from the centre of my heart, so I just want to make sure that like I shouldn't go into hospital or anything. And they were like, listen, it sounds like anxiety, it sounds like a hangover or anxiety, just make sure you book a doctor's appointment when you get back to Birmingham. And I was like, fine. And then the pain in my chest did ease off. And then I can't remember if it was this night because my friend says it was. I managed to like get up, go to McDonald's, get a meal, come home, eat it, and then go back up to bed. So I must have had like a peak where maybe now, knowing that maybe my heart had settled down, I don't know, because also at this time, like, I wasn't having palpitations on these 2 days. I wasn't feeling my heart, so I wasn't putting 2 and 2 together. Like, I just thought I was hungover. You have to remember, I thought I had anxiety, so this wouldn't have correlated in my head. And sickness. Who thinks sickness has anything to do with your heart? I just wouldn't have thought it. 3rd day, I didn't sleep again. And I remember like hearing my friend get up for work and she was supposed to be going to Plymouth, which is hours and hours away from Manchester. She wasn't supposed to be at home, and I was looking after a house then for the next 4 days, and I just wanted some alone time because it's when I still lived with my mum, and I just wanted to have some time. So she was like, I'm going away, so you can stay at the house. I remember her waking up and she came in and she's like, you sure you don't need to go to hospital because you don't look that well? And I was like, no, I'm not going to hospital for a hangover. But I did start thinking maybe I've got a stomach bug. I was Googling, like, maybe I've got neurovirus because how am I still feeling this ill? It's day 3. It was just some vodka. And she left and said, if you need anything, let me know. And the sickness was just unbearable, and she left. And I don't know why I didn't ask her to get me anti-sickness or anything, but maybe I don't like to be a burden sometimes, which is something that I've worked through. But I just remember being like, this sickness is not giving up. And I was still like heaving, but nothing was coming up at this point. I've been being sick for 3 days. I started Googling like how to get anti-sickness tablets delivered to me because I couldn't physically drive at this point. Like I couldn't have got out of bed. I started Googling like what works for neurovirus because I couldn't get any medication for like 48 hours delivered. So I was like, okay, what can I get on like Uber Eats that will help with this sickness? And they said ginger helps, electrolyte helps. So I was like, right, the only thing I can do now, because if I feel this sickness anymore, it was like torture. The sickness was that bad. So I went on to Uber Eats and I ordered a root of ginger, some ginger beer, a loaf of bread, and a Lucozade orange. It's going to sort me out, Sean. Don't you worry about it, gal. You're going to be sorted out with this order from Uber Eats. And it came, and I had to make the long journey downstairs. I was still naked. I had my friend's son's little blanket over me, and I don't even remember how I got down the stairs, but I just remember lying on the floor at the front door. I was lying on the floor naked with this little blanket on me, and I opened the door and the man was like, can I have your ID please? You know when you're thinking, are you joking? ID? Do I look like, what do I look like on the floor there? Do I look like I'm about to party up, like blah, party? No, like I am literally dying on the floor, literally. Luckily, my bag was like on the banister on the stairs, so I managed to like rip the bag on the floor and everything fell out. I got my ID, I showed it him, and he's like looking at the date, being like, no. And I went, please look at me, please, just give me the stuff and let me shut the door. And he was like, sorry. I mean, I don't know, I think some good Samaritan Uber Eats man might have called me an ambulance at that point, but he left. Fine, no worries. And then decided I wasn't going to be able to get upstairs. So I just kind of crawled into the living room, lay down. Again, I'm still naked. I've got this root of ginger and I'm like licking and biting off bits of this ginger. I drink literally the tiniest amount of ginger beer. Don't think I even opened the Lucozade. Don't even think I opened the loaf of bread. And I was lying on the sofa at this point, and I remember thinking, I'm dying. And I don't know why. Like, I laugh about it now. You know what? It wasn't even traumatic at the time. That's a lie. It was, I just wanted to sleep, to be honest. So I was just kind of like, I don't know why I'm dying. I'm only hungover or got a stomach bug. But I can tell my body's shutting down. And I just want to sleep. And if this is it, like, this is it. Like, I just want the sickness to end. Like, that's how I felt, like, but confused, like, because I knew I was dying, but I just couldn't understand why. Like, I don't understand how this has happened. So I ended up calling the ambulance and saying, like, I don't know what's wrong. I haven't eaten. I haven't drank for 3 days. I haven't really gone to the toilet. I think I'm really dehydrated. I think it might be the norovirus, but I'm not sure. And the ambulance man, but the people on the phone was like, no worries, we'll get one out to you. In that time then, I started voice noting. So I voice noted Chloe, who's my friend who I actually haven't mentioned her by name. I don't know why, but her name was Chloe. I voice noted Chloe. I voice noted another one of my friends, and I voice noted my mum. Oh, I phoned my mum. And in every one of the voice notes and phone calls, I'm coming in and out of consciousness. Now, I don't really get that. I can see the memory in my mind that was happening, but that's not how it felt at the time. That I was going in and out of consciousness, really weird. But I was coming in and out and in and out. And like at one point, I remember mum being like, Sean, on the phone. And I must have just gone silent for ages. So she was like, I'm coming up there. So mum got in the car with my brother and decided to drive up to Manchester. Unbeknownst to me, I'm voice noting Chloe, and her car that she was driving to Plymouth, remember she was supposed to be in Plymouth hours away, her car broke down and they had to come back to Manchester, and she was now in the office 10 minutes away. Ugh. Was I being looked after, or was I being looked after? So she read the voice note. She tried to text me back. I wasn't answering. She asked the people in her office, like, do you think I should be worried? Because she doesn't sound too good. And they were like, no, I'll go and check on her. So she's now heading home as well. My mum's heading up. After I've sent all those and spoke to my mum, I then get a call back from the ambulance people. I don't know why I get called ambulance people. And they say, the ambulance is going to be up to 5 hours or up to 3 hours. I can't, 3 or 5 hours. And I can't remember just kind of being like, okay, no worries. But something, the way I must have been talking must have put me at a higher priority, because as far as I can remember, I think I passed out, and shortly afterwards, the door started knocking. And now that I keep thinking back, I'm like, maybe it was longer than I thought. But for me, that literally, no, it couldn't have been, because Chloe's on the way and it literally didn't take her that long to get back. And the ambulance was there before she got back. So no, it wasn't that long. So I'm assuming I must have been coming in and out of consciousness on the phone to the ambulance man. And he had bumped me up to priority because I didn't sound right. Which again, oh my God, how lucky was I that they phoned me back and they heard that I deteriorated. Like, honestly, someone was looking down on me, which is why when, you know, this all comes out, I can't even be that sad, because I was lucky. Like, I survived it and someone was looking down on me like I'm the lucky one. So the door starts knocking and I'm like, I'm in here. And they're like, hello. And I'm like, the door's open, please. Like, I could barely speak at this point. And they come in and they were like, how long have you been like this? And I was like, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday. I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so confused. At this point, like, I am just not with it. And they obviously go straight on to do my obs. So they're giving me my blood pressure, and they can't get the blood pressure, and they do it on the other arm, and then they do it on the leg, and then they do a manual blood pressure where they, you know, the old school ones where they're pumping it like that, like they used to do when we were younger. And I remember him saying to me, the paramedic, have you ever had a problem with your blood pressure being done before? And I was like, no. And they were like, okay then. So they went into the ambulance and got an ECG machine so they could put me on a heart monitor. And the second that last pad touched my chest, they'd stopped speaking, it went silent, and the whole atmosphere in the room changed. I remember thinking like, oh, why's everyone gone silent? And she went, the other paramedic was like, okay, Sean, your heart's going at 244 beats per minute, which is very fast, so we need to get you to ambulance straight away. There's no need to panic, but we need to get you in an ambulance straight away, and we need to get you to hospital. I didn't really care at this point. Like, I don't care. Like, 244 didn't even mean anything to me. Now, just for the record, your heart really should be between 80 and 100, and mine was 244, so that's why I couldn't feel it. That's why I was getting so sick. That's why I felt like I was dying, because my body was shutting down. My heart was going that fast that I couldn't feel it, so I wasn't to know that was one of the symptoms. There was no indicator to me it was my heart, because it was going that fast that I couldn't feel the pulse. Like, that's why they couldn't find it through the blood pressure machine, because it was going too fast to be read. Just as they were starting to get me dressed, because I'm naked, my friend Chloe walks in and she said I looked awful. She said I looked grey. She said I looked like I was going to die. She said, we still cry when we speak about this story. Like, we can't even get through it when we speak about it together, because I feel so bad that she had to witness that. She obviously, like, can't even comprehend what would have happened if I wouldn't have called the ambulance on time, or like, what if I would have died in a house and she was in Plymouth. Like, we just got so lucky. And I remember the paramedic said to me, can I get you dressed? Can I get something out of your bag? And I was like, yeah. And she picked up a pyjama top, and the pyjama top was a t-shirt given to me from my best friend's family, from her dad when her dad passed away. So it was like a piece of his clothing that I could have, and her dad was like a dad to me. He was very important in my life, and out of everything that she could have picked out of that bag, even the fact that I'd bought it with me, because usually I don't really take it anywhere with me, the fact that it was even in that bag, and then the fact that she had pulled that out and put it on me, I knew I was going to be safe, because like, what are the chances that she was going to pick up that t-shirt that was from my best friend's dad? Like, ugh, I was being looked after. So we got in an ambulance, and I don't really remember what happened next at this next part, but Chloe said that it was like code red, shouting when they brought me in, and then I kind of like blank out, and then I kind of remember being in resource and having so many doctors working on me, and it was traumatic. Like, this is probably one of the most traumatic parts of the whole story. Like, they were pinning me down, they were trying to get in any vein, but obviously, remember, I hadn't drank for days, so I was so dehydrated, so them trying to get a vein was impossible. They're trying to get as much anti-sickness in me, they're trying to get a medication called amlodipine in me at any means possible, which is supposed to bring your heart rate down, and I am screaming. It kind of felt like, right, Sean, you're in a safe place now, you don't need to remain calm, let it all out, like, let that 3 days all out. And I just started screaming and crying and like telling them how sick I felt, and I just wanted the sick to get out, and like I just wanted to stop feeling sick, and I was like fighting them, trying to get on my front, because you know when you just want to be sick, you just want to be in your front, the last thing you want to do is lie down on the back, and they're trying to like wrestle me back to like my back. And at one point, the doctor said, Sean, you've got to stop. You've got to stop. We need to get this medication in you. We need to get your heart rate down. And it was only then that like everything dawned on me. And I was like, it's everything that's just, I literally asked him, I said, it's everything that's happening because of my heart. And he was like, yes, we need to get it down. Oh. Sorry, I don't tell that story in full often, but yeah, so that was when everything dawned on me. And then I don't know if they gave me like a sedative, or my brain just won't let me remember that memory, but the next memory I remember is waking up and feeling really good and being like, wow, that was weird that just happened. Thank God that's over. Thank God they've found the reason and sorted it, and they've calmed all my heart down. When can I go home then? And they let Chloe back in, and Chloe had obviously phoned my mum and said, you need to get here now, like there's something wrong with her heart, when it was all happening. So, because remember, my mum's on her way. Again, thank God, because what are the chances that my mum just was like, I'm going to leave, I'm just not going to work, I'm just going to come straight up and see you. Even though, for all she knew, it was literally a stomach bug. So much so that she had brought my dog with her because she thought when I got out that day that I'd want to see the dog and then she'd take us home and it'd be fantastic, which was a lovely plan, but isn't what materialised. And Chloe came in and Chloe was being really brave for me, bless her, because she obviously had been through a lot. She didn't know what was going on. And I was telling her like how good I felt, and the doctor came over and said, right, this drug, so my heart at this point now is at like 96. He said, right, this drug has brought your heart down. It works for 30 minutes and then we'll be able to see in 30 minutes whether your heart goes back up or whether that has worked. So we're on edge and we're just watching my heart monitor a bit like, don't go up, don't go up, don't go up. I was telling Chloe how good I felt and we was just talking, and like I think like 10 or 15 minutes had gone by and we're still looking at my heart monitor and my heart's like 100 and we're like, I'm sure it's fine. And then my heart's like 110 and we're like, okay, why is it going up? And Chloe kind of like, it's fine, like I'm sure it's fine, like I'm sure they expected that. And I was like, but they said it needs to work for like, it only works for like 30 minutes, what if it hasn't worked for me? And she's like, I'm sure it's fine. And then it gets up to like 120 and I kind of know like that's not what he said. He said it should have kept it down and this has now gone up to 120 like it was climbing up. But I felt better and that's all I really cared about. And the doctor came in and I asked him for a glass of water and he said, you can have a glass of water but just take really small sips in case we have to shock you. I was like, pardon? Shock me. I said to Chloe, did you hear what he just said? And she went, no. And I was like, he just said he might have to shock me. And she was like, you probably heard it wrong. And I was like, I know what I heard. I heard he might have to shock me. Literally, like comedic timing. Just as she was like, you heard it wrong, we hear him on the phone, literally on the desk in front of us. Got a 30-year-old girl that is shockable. What? You know when you think like, what is going on? Like I was just hungover the whole time. Like I'm just hungover. Like I don't understand why this is coming to such an extreme. So he comes over to me and he says, listen, your heart's going back up. The only thing we can do is to shock your heart back into rhythm. We'll put you to sleep for it. It's a really quick procedure. The person next to you has just had it done themselves. They're awake, they're fine. And I have a rare allergy to anaesthetic, like the main anaesthetic that puts you to sleep. I've not had it since I was 15. And when I was 15, I had it and I ended up in intensive care. So that was already scaring me that I was being put to sleep, because I'm not going to lie, like, I have dread being put to sleep for my whole life since this allergy happened to me, because I'm like, what are they going to do? And I said, please, can we wait until my mum gets here? Like, my mum's really close. Like, can we just wait? Please, can I see my mum before they put me to sleep? So they're waiting. They said they'll wait for my mum, and it is getting like to the wire because my heart is just going up and up and up. It's like 150 at this point. And my mum's like in the car park and Chloe's trying to find her, because remember, this isn't our hospital. We're in Manchester. So they're like, you've literally got like 1 or 2 minutes. If your mum doesn't come, we need to get it done. Like, your heart's going really high. And I've got like 13 people at my bedside waiting to shock me. And literally in the nick of time, my mum runs in, and it's so strange because like as soon as I saw my mum was crying, I was scared. Like, I remember saying to Chloe, you're scared, aren't you? And she's like, no, I'm fine. But she was obviously really scared, and I was freaking petrified. But as soon as I saw my mum, I kind of go into like, it's fine, mum, it's fine. Like, mum, it's fine. They're going to put me to sleep. I'll be awake in literally 20 minutes. My heart's going to be fine. Like, this is all okay. Because I like felt so bad that like my mum had just got this random call. Now she's in Manchester, and the state that I was in when she saw me in resource. So she's crying, and then the doctor's kind of like working out how they're going to put me to sleep. And then, yeah, they put me to sleep. I wake up and the nightmare should be over, right? The nightmare should be over. And I was kind of like, right, okay then. And then they told me that it had worked. My heart was shot back into the right rhythm. It shouldn't go up again now. And I just need to stay on the amnidrone, I think, that I was on a drip for 24 hours. And in my head, I heard, you're going home in 24 hours. That's what I heard, that I was going home in 24 hours. We were just waiting for this drip to go into me, and then I was out of here. They put me onto a ward, and I spent the night. Honestly, the cardioversion, which is the shock to the heart, was a lot on the body. Like, still now, it's probably the most exhausted I felt with everything that has happened to me going forward. The cardioversion took a lot out of me. I was so tired for days, and I think I just slept all night and all day until a doctor woke me up. And that's when they told me that I have a heart condition called ventricular tachycardia, which is basically when the bottom chambers of your heart can't pump blood around the body because it's going too fast. And I felt so poorly because my kidneys had been shut down in order to get some more blood going around the body, because essentially your body just stops putting blood around the body. They said that it was amazing that I'd last as long as I did with it, because it's really like a cardiac arrest is imminent when you're having a ventricular tachycardia, a sustained one, which is what I was having at the time. And they said I was made of strong stuff. And I said, like, I just got really healthy. I'd lost 5 stone. They were like, that's probably saved you. So again, I was just so lucky that when it did happen, I was in the fittest place that I'd ever been. And I was like, right then, so what's the plan? He was like, well, until we can find out why it happened and give you an MRI, we don't know how we're going to go forward. And I was like, does that mean I'm not going to go home today? And he was like, today? You're going to be here for weeks. And I was like, what? What do you mean? And I laugh about it now because I was just so like naive. Like, I just thought, no, I'm not, Sean. They were saying you've got a problem with your heart. Obviously, this is a major problem. It's quite a big organ that you need. I just wanted to go home, and I wasn't in Birmingham, so I was like, oh, just get me home. I asked if I could be transferred, and the usual response whenever I asked, because every couple of days I'd get upset and ask if I could be transferred, they'd tell me that I could die on the way. So no. So I was like, fantastic. I wasn't allowed to go to the toilet on my own for the first 5 days. So I didn't go to the toilet for 5 days because I'm not doing that in a commode. They would wheel a commode to me. I would have to wee behind the curtain in the room, and someone would wait outside, and I felt like I felt pressured. And one time they didn't put the commode properly on, and I weed all on the floor. It took me, I don't know why I didn't realise longer that I'd weed all over the floor. And then I was getting tissue so quick because I knew that if somebody had noticed that I weed on the floor, they'd clean it up, and I didn't want them to clean up my wee. It was horrific. So after 5 days, I literally said to them, please, I'm coming on my period. I cannot be hygienic in a commode. Please let me go to the toilet. So they made me sign something to say I was doing it against their advice, but I was at least allowed to go to the toilet, but I'd just have to carry the heart monitor around with me, and that was really the most exercise that I got. And then I was in there for a month. We did the MRI. They said that my heart was structurally normal, which is great, because a lot of people with ventricular tachycardia have cardiomyopathy, which I think is like a muscle disease of the heart. So they thought that's what I had. I didn't. Then they thought I was going to have a defib fitted in my heart, but they decided because my heart was so erratic and I was having so many on and off VTs that they didn't want me to get shocked all the time, because a defib really is there for like a last resort if you need to be shocked, and this would be shocking me all the time because they hadn't got it under control. So then they decided that I was going to have an ablation, which is where they go through the groin into the heart and they burn the electrical circuit in the heart, because it's the electrical circuit that is causing the problem. And it's kind of like a train track, and there's train tracks missing, and they need to create a scar which will create the missing track. It's kind of as easy as I can explain it. So I was in there for a month, and then finally, my heart then had a palpitation because it's wanting to get involved in the video. So then the day of the ablation came. Now, let me tell you, everywhere online said the ablation was easy peasy. Everyone does it awake. It's a really short procedure. I should be out within an hour and a half. Everywhere online, I know a few people that have had an ablation. Like, I say I know a few, I know one person. I know somebody that had an ablation. He said it was easy peasy. He had 2. I wasn't nervous going into it. I said to my mum, you don't need to be there. Like, you don't need to see me in the morning. You stay at home. Come and see me afterwards. Like, I'm fine to go in my own. And I went down to theatre, and obviously I'm allergic to anaesthetic. And now we know, only because of just recently, like in the last 2 weeks, that they didn't know how to put me to sleep properly. So they put me asleep. I was awake, and they do this thing where they make your heart go really fast and really slow, so they can kind of see where the electrical circuit is broken. I was awake for that, and it was uncomfortable, but it was fine. I felt them put the catheter inside and bring it into my heart, which makes me feel sick. But then I'd fall asleep a little bit, And then I'd wake up in excruciating pain, like they were burning my heart, and I could feel every little bit of it. And I was crying, being like, please, I'm awake, I'm in the room, please put me back to sleep. Like, what's going on? And they'd tell me, like, they can't give me any more anaesthetic at the moment. Like, they obviously must only give it, I don't know the scientific reason behind, but I was basically awake the entire thing. Like, I'd fall asleep for like 10 minutes and then I'd be back awake again. And the whole operation was 4 hours. 4 hours. And you know, like, I blank out again. Like, my brain has blanked out so much of this experience, but the little bits that I do remember of me screaming in horrific pain, like, I was just screaming. Like, I remember the last lot of burning they did. They were like counting me down. They're like, Sharnee, we're going to burn for 20 seconds and then we'll give you a rest. Like, that's how they were doing the procedure. It actually is cruel. It seems like inhumane torture, to be honest. Like, it was so bad. And you know, when you can see that they're like also not enjoying themselves. Like, the surgeon herself was like looking stressed. At one point I lost a load of blood and they had to do like another scan on me, and like, I was awake, not just awake but feeling everything, not just awake but completely aware. Like, they told me that I'd be awake but I'd be very kind of sedated in and out. Like, I could sleep if I wanted to, but I really wouldn't remember anything that much. I could honestly, I can't explain how bad that operation was. It was they stopped it in the end because I was like, I can't take any more. I actually can't take any more. So I said, okay, we'll come out. And I remember feeling the catheter come all the way from my heart out of my leg. That was painful to come out. And as they like put me on the recovery bed, I remember looking at their faces and thinking that didn't work. I could tell that didn't work. I could tell they're not happy with it. I could just tell. And I feel like when you come awake and like Holby City or like other doctors programs, they're like, it went really well, and I didn't get any of that. So I just kind of knew that it didn't really work, and then it hadn't gone well. Took myself to recovery, and then I'm just trying to think if that's where I should stop, because I think this is a good place to stop. Went to recovery, came home 24 hours later, drove home 2 days later. And yeah, I think that's a good place to end it. Before part 2. Oh my gosh, that was a lot to get through, but I really hope that you enjoyed it, kind of. I don't know, because it's really intense, but I'm going to go straight on and film part 2. So the part 2 will be out really soon. If not, it should be out already. So please go and watch that if you enjoyed this one. Just know that even going through that, like, I tried to stay as positive as possible, and I knew it was for the greater good. I knew that I could get through this, and I knew that it would only make me a stronger person. So when I'm laughing and smiling, it's really not because it wasn't hard, but it's because I truly believe that, like, this all happened to me so that I could start coaching and then help other people that are going through things, and maybe even more than what I'm going through, or just to help people. Like, it had to have happened to me for a reason. So that is why I tell it with such like positive vibes, because I'm here at the end of the day and I'm lucky, and like, not everybody's as lucky as me. Some people have a VT and they don't get as lucky. So yeah, it was traumatic, but definitely for the best. But let me tell you, if you think my bad luck was over, no. So join me back to talk about me meeting my Prince Charming and how that all went, and whether the heart strikes up again. Spoiler alert, it does. It gets worse. I will see you in my next one. If you have any questions or are really interested in my coaching, want to know more about it, then please follow me on Instagram at sharneeyvonne. I will leave it down below. And any life coaching questions, or even if you're just having a bad time, feel free to DM me. I will speak to you. We will get it sorted, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.